My wife is about to hit 50.
Well, we're old when we're sitting here talking about AOL, using that as a messaging system. What about
Yeah.
ICQ?
Now that I never used. I never. That was something I did not understand and never used.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy the insanity of how technology has changed everything for everybody and how everybody communicates and shares stuff. But hey, we're live. Um, welcome, guys,
But are
to
we?
another.
But are we on Memorex though? That's the question.
That is a good question. I can always, like, I don't know, auto record everything onto cassette tape one day for us.
Well,
I
I mean
have that.
that's how Brian started RSC was a cassette recorder and a microphone.
Yep. And there's nothing wrong with that because it's pretty cool and it's still cool technology. But anyway, welcome, guys, to another Plasticast. I'm your host, Plasticon. I'm joined today by Headmaster Don.
Everybody, and this is it. So
Yep.
if ta-da, it's the duo. We're the dynamic duo tonight. I am
Exactly.
not doing the Batusi. I am not doing the Batusi, no matter how much you ask. I look terrible in spandex.
Same. Same. But yeah, we are going to be talking about this week's some of the craziness that's happened this week with
A
announcements.
lot of
And
reveals.
tons of reveals. Some things are just
I mean,
mind blowing. Um,
yeah, but I think it's good to take a news day every now and then,
mhm,
because so many places do cover this stuff. So it's not like you haven't heard of this.
right.
But I think it's nice for some people who can't keep up with all the websites, and you find out a little bit here and a little bit there. I think a news day is good for everybody to get on the same page, so that way, if you hear someone talking about X, you know what's going on.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about some of the new reveals, maybe some ideas of what we would like to see for newer stuff. Some of the stuff we already knew about for a while. So,
Yeah.
um,
And also a lot of this, just to give a shout out to JT Prime, who a lot of this stuff was compliments of JT Prime. So a lot of this is official reveals, but we also knew about some of this stuff several weeks ago. So shout out to him for his hard work in keeping the fandom informed on just what the hell is going on.
yeah, I know. Like, it's been crazy. Like, with everything that's being revealed nowadays, I mean, really, Dom, what's your thoughts on how fast we have stuff revealed to us now compared to
Oh,
what it
it's
used to be, like, what, 4 years ago? Like,
oh,
just even
not
4 years ago, you know?
yeah, not even that really. It's just, I mean, but also people have gotten better at looking at inventory listings, things like that. And also when you have people like Chris and Rob on RFC, they understand the coding and what this batch number. It's like when John and Carl used to collect the point twos and the point fours and the variations in the boxes. You remember
Hmm?
their collection was absolutely astronomical because they understood if it's 8675309.1 and then point 2, you have a box variation. So if you can understand this stuff, that's awesome. I don't. I get very confused. It's like, ooh, plastic crack, dopamine hit, I'm good. But yeah, it's amazing on how we. But I'll be honest, I kind of wish it would go back to some of the old like the original BotCon days. All we would know is, okay, you're getting a deluxe and you're getting a Voyager, or what would have been the equivalent at the time. So yeah, you knew that. Okay, we're getting a deluxe. It's something from the past 2 years that Hasbro probably has available. We can look at these molds. It's a Voyager equivalent Mega. Cyclonus was an Ultra. I
Hmm.
think Yeah, that's
It was
that
ultra class.
Cyclonus. That yeah. So therefore we knew a size class, and we could extrapolate from there what we might be getting. It's like in '97. That's the one BotCon I never got a chance to go to in Rochester because I had just lost my job several months prior, and it was a 2-pack, and we had no idea what this 2-pack could be, and it wound up being Fractal and Pack Rat, one of my favorite BotCon sets. And so, and I kind of wish we would go back to that. Nowadays it's kind of hard to do that because so many people are so savvy on what this info in these computers could mean. But we're still guessing. We're still having fun. So, but well, you bring up whatever you want to, and we'll go from there.
Alrighty. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share some stuff here. This is brought to you by TFW 2005. If you guys don't know about this website, they've been around for a smidge of a time, just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. They generally are. They're some of the first. They're some of the first people to break stuff news. Again, they also like, we just learned about this. Take it with a grain of salt. It's not gospel. So yeah, it's nice to have a website you can go to and try to play catch up as this stuff comes out.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of times when we're trying to keep up with what is out there, it is almost impossible to keep up with every single solitary bit of product. Now, looking at the new listings that they have, we have both of our last 2 aerial bots revealed, finally.
Right. Right. And they're mostly the same 2 aerial bots that we've already got, with a couple of small revisions here and there. So really nothing. But again, can you really be mad about that because they're aerial bots? They've always kind of been a very similar. I mean, Slingshot and Skydive could not be any more different. I mean, not Skydive, sorry. Slingshot and Air Raid are very different molds in that Wave 1. But it's no real surprise that they're being slightly revamped for the last 2 aerial bots, because let's face it, the aerial bots have always been a really weird thing. They have one of the most cohesive looks as a combiner team. Superion is generally a very well balanced looking, pleasing to the eye combiner. He's also the most boring, which is very strange. Because would you say that of all the Combiner War combiners, Superion was probably the best of the bunch up until you got to maybe the Computrons?
Yeah, I would. I would definitely say that.
Yeah, but wasn't he also the most boring? It's red, it's white, it's a little bit of yellow, tiny bits of blue here and there. They're aerial bots.
Yeah.
But they look good. Fireflight's chest looks a little busy.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to emulate a little bit of like something there, because I mean the original one didn't really have a sticker where the combiner portion would flip open on the G1.
Right.
So
yeah.
I mean, I think they're just adding a little bit of something there, so it wasn't just a big white slab.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I get they're trying. And again, the gray face. I had to look on the TF wiki. Thanks, Walkie. Thanks, McFeely. Appreciate that for all y'all's hard work over there. I had to remind myself that he had that color face.
Yeah.
Because it's been so long since I've seen a G1 episode, I had forgotten they had to be that. I'm happy to get them, but have you seen the back legs of Superion?
It's a bit messy.
It is. They stick out. Again, they're jets. They have more back kibble than your Stunticons, so they're going to stick out more anyway.
But I mean, they're going for the animation model. If you're like
and again, you're not going to be, yeah, and you're not going to be displaying him from the back.
No.
But I would like to see maybe a third party make some kind of capsule that you can attach to the back side. Like, if this is the back, some kind, on Origins Wheeljack, his little shield that clips around the windshield,
Yep.
something like that, that maybe would make his shin look bigger, but you would have less aerial bots sticking out of the back. So maybe there's something there, but again, it's on the back of Superion's legs. It's
I mean, I've seen 3D printed things that people have done for Minosaur. Minosaur, they actually did it so you can take the Motor Master, turn it into its skeletal mode, not even bother getting hold of the other Stunticons and literally plug them on with these 3D printed things, and it does look like the animation model. So
right.
I can see somebody doing that, but the problem with that is
I
you're
can't.
getting rid of 4 robots that are
Yeah.
part of the set.
And I mean, I kind of want to be able to take them apart at some point and do it all over again, or have them on the shelf for a while as the aerial bots. Because the key to Vector Sigma was kind of the most mind-blowing revelation we'd had since Heavy Metal War, and I'm using the FHE Family Home Video title on that.
Yeah.
Since the Constructicons first appeared. So having 2 new combiners out of nowhere, I mean, that's awesome. And I'm glad we're getting them. They ain't perfect, but I'm more than happy to add them to the set.
I mean, let's be honest. Even Generation 1 wasn't perfect. Like, none of them.
Oh, no.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, we're getting closer to what a retail, more plentiful toy would be that's closer to the animation model versus going through third-party means, going through customs, any kind of stuff like that to get hold of this type of thing. And I'm very appreciative of how they're taking the animation models and trying to, make it so you can try to recreate that entire scene if you wanted to and do photographs, And it's cool. I think it's neat.
And I think everybody needs to remember that Hasbro, unlike third party, has to meet a whole set of safety regulations. They have to meet a budget. They have to meet a price point cap. So they have a lot more confines on them. So I think if you look at all of those constraints, and we're getting this kind of quality product from Hasbro, the designers, the marketing, budget people that, not only here's what you get to spend, the people that this is what we've got to spend, let's stretch it as best we can to give us all this deco. Like Cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
Cosmos, when we got that Legacy Cosmos, it was the only unique mold in that wave because it was 3 colors, and they got it and they snuck it in with the budget they were giving for that figure. So Hasbro does have some issues. We know about the firings and stuff like that, but I do want to give credit to the people responsible for trying to give us the best product they can at retail with all the constraints they've got going.
That's the big thing. I don't think a lot of people realize that, especially with some of the, we're just talking about the combiners, not, talking about any of the other ones just yet. But how much money and how much time it goes into actually building and creating these toys. And I was listening to a couple other videos earlier this week talking about, well, why can't these toys be produced in the United States, right? And the biggest reason is cost. Second, it's skill level. Here in the United States, we don't really have people that can paint things and tampo things the way China does. Period.
Yeah, because
we don't have the technology.
Years,
we're behind on that.
Yeah. Because they've been doing it for so long, it's something they're very good at.
It's second nature for them. For us, it's a learning curve. And it would cost us more money in the United States to produce some of these toys. And some people don't like that, and they don't like to hear that, but it's the absolute truth. Their molding techniques over there are a lot more perfected. The tampoing, the decos, they've got that down to a science, which we don't have over here. So
Right.
Okay, I can accept maybe an unassembled toy every now and then. Like one that's assembled correctly. I mean, what was it, Generation Skids that had the backward shoulders or something like that?
Yeah.
That was like a big deal. And then the
And
86
then
Prime
there
that
was,
came out with the feet just flipped backward. I
but
mean, they're simple
well,
fixes.
that was so minor. It the one that bothered me the most, and by the most mean barely, but it did click with me,
Hmm?
was the Galvatron shoulders
Yeah.
on that one release of Galvatron. So, but again, that was something you could easily fix with a slight variant. Then they fixed it on on the subsequent releases. So there's that.
Right. So I mean, they do listen to the issues people have with things, much like they heard the outcries of everybody not being able to get hold of that Cosmos, the Legacy Cosmos. Why do you think they re-released it again so people can get hold of it again? They're trying to make sure that
Yeah.
everybody can have their chance to play in the sandbox. You know,
Right.
we're trying to make it so everybody can get it, but there are times that things are a little harder to get hold of, like some of the Coneheads, like that whole
Yeah.
Amazon fiasco.
Yeah. But that's a whole nother kettle
Yeah.
of fish.
That is. But anyway, we are now, looks like we're getting Venom.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I didn't think we would ever get one that looks as accurate as that one does to the Generation 1 toy. Because that thing almost looks like the G1 toy just with joints.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's spot on.
It's we got Chop Shop in a multi pack. We got Ransack in a multi pack. Raj, Chop Shop.
Yeah, they were all well, Barrage was part of a 2-pack, I think.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay, he was the 2 pack. Okay, yeah. So we did actually get all of the deluxe Insecticons, which is not something I would have expected. It took them a while, but they said that they like getting sets completed, and the Insecticons are, definitely a set.
Especially the deluxe ones, because a lot of us growing up, G1 and deluxe Insecticons, some of those slipped through our fingers because they were hard to get hold of when we were kids. They weren't the easiest. And
It took me years to find a full set of deluxe Insecticons.
yeah. And this is cool. I think this is amazing that they're doing this with this. I love the fact that apparently the axe and the gun can combine together to make that longer axe like the Generation 1 does, which is kind of a cool little nod from what I gathered.
Yeah.
The translucent plastic on it looks great. I think this thing's going to be an awesome toy.
Yeah, and I'm glad it's not in another multi pack. Of course, it could be they didn't really have a pack for it to go into, and maybe with the wave balancing, they were able to get it into the wave as itself without having to worry about a multi pack.
Mhm. Now, one that we did know about was the Sandstorm and Slug Slinger. Basically, they're redecos.
Right.
Sandstorm is basically the cartoon accurate, and Slug Slinger is supposed to be more cartoon accurate, but I think the shade of blue on him is a little too dark. But that's
Well,
just me.
they were talking about they were trying to get closer to a tune accurate, but you've got the Japanese version and you've got the Rebirth version. So they were trying to get something that kind of would get in the middle of those two. Now, I wasn't planning on getting this set, but in the animation colors, with that face, I do want to get that Sandstorm because that would be great for a Season 3 shelf. I am disappointed that Slugklinger is not getting his Target Masters like Spinister did.
Yeah.
But I think, I think it's because in that other set it was 2 deluxes, the Top Spin Diaclone and the Spinister. I think you had a little bit more play there with budget But when you're tossing in a leader class figure and a deluxe, my guess is there just wasn't any money. If they were going to get this out, adding Slugslinger's Target Masters was not going to work out. That's a disappointment, but I can live with that.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing. So I know some people aren't going to like the fact that he is a Titan Master. He's got the Headmaster gimmick. And it's like, well, some people will be like, well, why didn't they just remold the head so it was permanent and then give him the Target Masters? Goes down to cost of how much money it costs to do a mold. They had a mold that was already ready, so why change that?
Yeah, why add cost on top of that when you're already, like I said, you've already got a leader in. If you've got a leader involved, you've got a whole different pricing structure, which we'll get to here in just probably a few minutes.
Yes, we will get those pricing structure here pretty soon. We saw some really good renders of Onyx Prime. Scroll down here and see if I can get that to come up. I actually have
Onyx.
This. I don't know if this is it running. Yes, it's still running. I think it's just being silly. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Everybody see this?
Yeah.
He is pretty neat looking. I know Sideburns gonna be all over this thing. This thing is nuts looking. And how often do we get centaurs? Like, rarely ever.
the only other centaur robot I can think of, and I brought this up on RFC, is Pegasus Saber from Brave, because his upgrade mode was not your traditional upgrade form, because it was 3 jets that formed Sky Saber, and then the fourth team member, he formed a centaur, which is just like crazy.
Yeah, I find this insane because it's like, I agree with you. The only centaur I could think of was the one you're talking about, Pegasus Saber from the Brave series, and I'm wondering if the designers behind this thought about that Brave toy whenever they decided to design this, because I can see a little bit of Brave being in this if they recolored it right. It would actually work.
Yeah. Well, again, I think a lot of the designers that are at Takara now, of the younger generation, probably grew up with Brave, and over there it's more of a thing, especially now with it being the anniversary year. So for some of the series, so I mean, I think it looks really good. I've got it on pre-order. I just want to see how the final product turns out. Just because it is so unique, it's going to kind of have to nail the look, and if it goes through a budget crunching process and we don't get what we're seeing, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. The Alpha Trion this comes with is a very, very interesting take on him.
And it's actually, well, technically, if you want to look at it that way, it's actually A3. It's still Alpha Trion, but it's when he was known as A3 from Forever is a Long Time Coming in season 3. That's why you have the removable Autobot symbol, because it's the coder remote.
Yep, because he can hold it in his hand, which is, I think this thing can be 5mm port capable, so you can put it in his hand or put it in anybody's hand at this point.
Yeah. So that's and I think what we're seeing is this is going to be a go-to mold for a lot of other flying wedge Cybertronian space vehicles. Because if you look, like Jaxus became Vector Prime, that Skull Grin has become several other figures with both light and heavy remolding. So I think this Alpha Trion is going to be the first of several figures that has this flying Cybertronian wedge.
I think it's interesting that it comes with a book and a quill. That's, I think, the first I've ever seen in Transformers actually getting a book with a quill. I've never seen that before.
The quill is an actual artifact.
Yeah. They're both artifacts. I forget what they're called.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the book is a Covenant of Primus,
Mhm.
is what the running theory is. The quill, I don't remember where it falls in the list of things. It was probably on Earth. Most everything from Cybertron falls on Earth, apparently. But I don't remember the name of it. But
It's because
it's
the
nice
Earth's a
seeing some
huge magnet for Cybertronian
for
things.
Transformers stuff. Yeah, I, this needs to get to Earth. Just throw it into space; it'll get there eventually. Trust me.
Yeah,
Um,
there's some GPS coordinate or something like that, literally just shooting it to the Earth every time.
yeah. So I like him. It'll be interesting to see what else comes from this mold.
So, how do you think this may affect the sales of the other Alpha Trion that came out with the Orion packs? The what was it? The Rise to Leadership one, the one where it was repairing
Yeah,
Orion.
yeah. When they use the Scourge mold,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it'll really hurt it because they're both going for two different points in his life. So I don't think one would necessarily replace the other because you've got young A3 and older Alpha Trion around War Dawn. So I don't think one is going to actually affect the other than, okay, we have two Alpha Trions to do. And if I had a nickel for every Alpha Trion, I'd have 10 cent. But it's weird that it happened twice.
Yeah, it's very, very,
So
very
yeah,
true.
yeah. So I don't think there'll be a lot of effect on it, because they're going for just two completely different points in his lifetime.
I think he's a pretty decent looking robot. They did a really good job with the colors and his face sculpt and everything. To me, it looks just like the cartoon. I think it's great. I'm glad that they're going the route they've been going with some of these
Right.
some of these characters we don't normally ever get. Like these are like almost outlier because it's a different version of the same dude but younger. That we don't get that
Right.
that often unless it's Optimus, really. So
Yeah. Exactly.
it's kind of
Exactly.
cool to see that. Um,
Yeah.
so this little tiny dude that combines with this larger mech thing, Don, what's up with this? Is this Bakugan?
No. What we have here is Micronus, who is the origin of your mini cons and probably eventually Micromasters, depending on how you look at the timeline. And he is a minicon that has a mech suit that he wears in robot mode, and he has a motorbike mode that is, to me, the first thing I saw on that motorbike mode was from Code Lyoko. There is a vehicle that Ulrich drives in Lyoko, and if you've never heard of Code Lyoko, it's a French anime. And that's where I got a lot of the very similar vibes for. It's very wild. It's very Cybertronian, but I like it now more that I've seen what it does versus the first pictures we saw. Although I think a lot of people are going to be wanting this later on recolored as Macadam from Bumblebee Cyberverse Adventures. When it
Oh
was
yeah.
revealed when it was revealed, spoilers, that Macadam was Micronus.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people are going to be wanting that repaint, and that's a pretty obvious repaint, is to get closer to those colors.
Oh yeah.
But this is the kind of stuff that we get from this design team. These little deep cuts that I doubt we would have seen
it's probably
5, 6, 7.
yeah. It's just a wild idea to give a robot a mech suit because the last time I remember any kind of robot mech suit thing we got was during Cyberverse during what was it Transformers Prime.
The
And
Miko?
then, huh?
I'm saying, okay, I was
Yeah, the
saying
remember the Cyberverse? They had a Optimus and a Bumblebee, and then they had one they called the
yeah,
Apex
I remember.
armor thing, and that was the only time we really saw like a robot
yeah,
driving a huge robot thing. Before that, the only thing I remember was like like GoBots
Right.
had them and stuff. But
yeah, power suit, power
the
warrior.
power suits.
Now I would like to see this slightly retooled, and the Micronus be retooled as Miko, and that bike colored as Apex armor from Prime, so you have a little Miko figure that can go into the mech suit, and you've got the Apex armor from Prime. I would love to see that. I think that's just for me. It's not like I run Hasbro or anything, but I would love to see that.
I think it'd be a really good move, actually, because considering we have gotten some Transformer Prime refreshes, kind of like,
Yeah.
because we got the Cliff Jumper, then we got the Bulkhead, and then we got the RC, I would like to see a newer version of Prime. It'd be kind of cool to see that.
Yeah.
Ultra Magnus would be cool too, especially if they
Yeah.
can try to maybe keeping the cab over one from that, because I really liked that version of Ultra Magnus versus the recolored
Yeah.
Optimus they gave us out of that line.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a Viacon. Like, come on, guys. The Viacon was the best thing. Give us a new
Yeah,
version
I'll
of
be
Viacon.
honest.
I don't know if
Yeah,
they could even
I'll
do
be
that.
honest. I don't know if there's too much plastic in the original Viacon. Just give us that. Just give us that Viacon mold again, and I think everyone will be happy because that's an absolutely phenomenal mold.
Mhm.
But there could be too much plastic in that now versus what you can get away with then.
That is extremely true with a lot of the things that are coming out. Speaking of things coming out, we have recolors, I guess, of, what was it, Megatron, The Fallen, and Soundwave? Because from what I gather, his 3-pack is like a recolor of something that had already been produced for the Universe guys.
Right. It's Bayverse. It's a Bayverse-orama.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Soundwave that I never liked and never bought.
The satellite one?
Yeah, the satellite one that I never bought. I could have bought it on clearance for $7 and didn't buy it. It's the tank Megatron that I never liked, and it's who else?
The Fallen.
And the Fallen I never bought because it's when you say bag of knives, that people were that's how people were calling a lot of this stuff. That's what he looks like. He just looks like a folded up bag of knives glued together as a ship. I never liked it. I think I did buy the one at Target that they had that was the red variant, the red coloration.
Mm-hmm.
I bought it. I looked at it. I thought, why did I buy this? And then I took it back the next day. So
sounds about
so
right.
So if you're a Bayverse fan and you like these, and I'm borrowing this from Bobby Skullface, if you like it, you win. I don't like it, and I'm not winning if I buy that. So that's one more set for someone else to get because I sure don't want it.
Yeah, and that's one thing I do have to say about the variety that they've been giving us. At least they're giving us a variety versus, oh, we're only focusing on this, only focusing on this, only focusing on that. That's one thing I have to say about everything they're doing now, because Onyx Prime scratches that Beast Wars itch for a lot of guys. So, same thing with Venom. Venom's a good Beast Wars. I know he's G1, but anybody who's a Beast Wars fan is going to pick him up quickly too.
Or just Insecticons in general.
Yeah. So, the last two are recolors, and these recolors are of Slag and Snarl in Generation 2 colors.
I am ecstatic, but you know what I'm even more happy about? They did pretty much confirm it in the live stream that next year we are getting Sludge and Swoop in G2 colors. We will at last have a complete Generation 2 Dinobot set, and I am hyped.
I don't blame you. Now,
Generation.
there's one thing I kind of wish they would do, because I know they're releasing Slag is green, Snarl is red. I would absolutely love and be floored if they did a 5-pack with the other two that were released, but do opposite colors on those two and throw in a turquoise Grimlock. That would be the ultimate G2. Here you go, guys.
It would, because it would. I don't want them to do that until after we get the individual Swoop and Sludge.
Right.
Because I don't know if I would buy a set. I love that the blue G2 Grimlock that's shipping now-ish with Megatronus is beautiful.
Hmm.
It's not that turquoise blue that was basically a color error.
Yeah.
That was not supposed to be run, but it made it out into the world anyway. But if you bought a 5-pack and you swapped these two for their other colors, because for those, and again, a lot of people are probably looking at this as like, why are these weird colored Dinobots so important? If you're not old enough to have been there for Generation 2, as it was coming out, as it was a thing, Generation 2 was a time of innovation. We got posability that we never had before. We had gimmicks that we've never had before and haven't had since. We got characters, we got designs, we got transformations that were nothing was off limits, because they gave us some of the best figures. Darkwind and Dreadwing, for example, phenomenal figure you would never get nowadays due to the amount of plastic and engineering in there. Hero Optimus, very good toy, very fun. Rotor Force,
The
just
Aqua Speeders,
Aqua Speeders. I
color
mean,
changing. We haven't had that since G2.
right. And again, for someone who's younger that's collecting now, looking back, a lot of folks don't have the context of what that meant as we were going through it. That's why these Dinobots are so important, is because we never had a complete set of these G2 Dinobots, because the line was canceled before the last two could be released. We had color markups of what they would have looked like, and you can go to TF Wiki and probably find them somewhere.
Hmm?
But it's important because it's something in my life that I never thought we would see, and it's not the G1 toys. I wish we would get the G1 toys, but the G1 Dinobots, the molds they're not usable. The molds are just trash. It's like RID Prowl. The car robot brothers, the molds are absolutely unviable at this point.
Yeah. And if
But I'm
anybody-
ecstatic.
Yeah, I am too. I think it's amazing. The one thing I kind of wish, and this is just a pet peeve because I'm a Generation 2 nut, I wished they would have made the box look more G2. The box doesn't focus so much on G2.
Right. It's
It's very collector's studio series looking thing, but not the wild, crazy colors they could have thrown. Like, I don't understand why the marketing team, when it comes to Generation 2 stuff, they can't just look at the old G2 stuff and be like, why don't we clone that? Because they have with the retro pack stuff for like Gears and Bumblebee and the Minibots.
right. But again, those are, you're looking at a liter price point at this point. You got 2 liters in a box for about $99 to $109, which is average retail. So you really can't say that you're paying more for this set. But probably to get this set out, sacrifices on the boxes had to be done to keep it at that. Because if we got 5 liter class Dinobots at $55 a piece, and all they're doing is changing the colors on these, there's probably very little wiggle room to get new packaging. Something like the Bruticus that we got when they went back and recreated the G2 packaging for that
Fall of Cybertron.
Fall of Cybertron War, for that Bruticus, that was something of a different time. But we love it. I adore that packaging. It feels right. Would I like to see in G2 boxes for these? Yes. But the margins are so thin. If we had to sacrifice G2 boxes to get these, I am perfectly fine with that.
And I understand that. Like, just being, like I said, a Generation 2 nut, I love the neon colors. I love that orangish coral color that almost makes your eyes bleed. That is like one of my favorite colors. and I can't get enough of seeing that on boxes. But
Right.
I agree with you. Now, when it comes to the whole thing where we're talking about, like, Hasbro making sure there's a restock of stuff, do you think that they're going to do that with this G2 pack, or do you think that's going to just be, well, this is it, and then they're probably not going to do any more after that?
I think I think this design team is aware of Generation 2's influence. Otherwise, they would have not done a Walmart capsule that was practically all G2 last year, or the year before, whatever it was. But I also think all this stuff boils down to us what we have, how much it costs to make it, how much we can sell it for, and finding a place to put it. All those points have to fall into place before we can get our grubby little hands on it.
Right.
So I think it's going to be a matter of wait and see, and they're going to work in what they can. Like Laser Cycle was close to what Jazz would have been if we had gotten the Laser Cycle Jazz and all that. You got the Road.
I'm really, really surprised with Road Pig that they released that they didn't do the Soundwave yet.
Again, maybe that's something if they need if they need a figure to fill out a wave, and that Junkion price point is easy enough. You just change the head, change the colors, and it can fit into a wave that needs a lower cost figure to balance out. If they got a spot for it, they'll put it in. I think it's going to be just. It's not like, oh well, that took my spot for XYZ. That's one thing I've never liked hearing people saying is like, oh, we shouldn't have got this. That took a spot for something else. No, that filled the spot to get everything else in the wave. So that's what made us get the wave. It didn't keep you from getting that figure you wanted. It made you be able to get everything else in the wave. Otherwise, it wouldn't have cost balanced out.
It's kind of like
Now,
the Legacy Mirage. Like, I know you talk about the Generations Mirage all the time, but that Legacy Mirage mold has given us a lot of really, really good uses. 2 of them being Generation 2 that we probably wouldn't have
that Legacy. Oh, Matt is a huge secret. Matt over there, Melbar over on RFC, huge Seeker fan. He owns so many of the Generations Seeker mold because that's one of the few classics mold that probably holds up. The Mirage is another one.
Yes.
But this Legacy Mirage, it's my Seeker mold. I will buy that mold in whatever you put it in, and I will buy it and put it on the shelf, and I'll be happy because it just works.
And you know
but I do want to.
What's funny is, why haven't they tried to use it for Slapdash yet?
They did.
Did they use it for Slapdash? Because I know they did Leadfoot, but I haven't seen Slapdash.
No, that's right. No, you said Slapdash. I was thinking Leadfoot.
Okay.
Yeah, because there was a third-party Rotor Force add-on for that. That's right. I want to ask you something about this 2-pack.
Okay.
On the Snarl, do you think the red is right? Because I don't. Because XV brought this up over on RFC.
Okay.
And I didn't realize it.
The
red is not quite deep enough.
It's not quite deep enough, but here's my thing with photography. You know, because well, behold, anybody who doesn't know, I went to school for cinematography, so I know how cameras work. Red, green, and blue are the hardest things to photograph. And one of the biggest things, like back when I did my review of Generation 2 Menosaur, I was the first one that dropped it to show everybody this amazing piece. It's extremely hard to see the shimmer that's in the plastic, like the little gold flakes or the flaky stuff. That doesn't come off very well on camera. And sometimes when I film stuff, the blues don't quite hit right. The greens don't quite hit right. Same thing with red. Sometimes red is either brighter or duller. This Snarl looks duller than what he's probably going to be in person.
That's what I was going to ask you. Based on your experience with shooting color like this, could that red actually be darker in person? And what we're seeing is either artificial enhancements for product shots or just the light used taking these pictures, making it lighter than it could be.
Well, the thing is, nowadays most people use LED for their lighting studios.
Right.
I personally have LED and tungsten. If you guys know what tungsten are, it's basically your normal incandescent bulbs.
Okay, that's what I think. Yeah, the
And
incandescent.
the incandescent bulbs give off more of a yellowish glow, and things tend to look closer to what they actually are under that yellow light versus the white light. The white light, for some reason, blows things out, and it makes things feel
I think I've heard
dull.
someone say it washes stuff out to a degree.
Yes, it blows it out, it washes it out, and almost makes the colors look duller than what they are. The reason I'm saying this is because when I look at slag should be slightly darker too. Because I have these toys on my shelf.
Yeah, I do too.
And
but the slag doesn't look near. It looks a lot closer to my eye of what he's supposed to look.
But I can see, like, I mean, it's really difficult to tell because the red, for some reason, on Snarl looks like it's bouncing a lot more light than the green does. Because green tends to absorb more light than red. Red reflects it. So it's really weird how lighting works with cameras, because sometimes you'll have red will look blown out. Like if you look at, like the aerial bots, the red looks like it's like glowing. Well,
yeah,
it's not really glowing when you get it in hand. And with Snarl being more of a maroonish tone, it's going to reflect some light and absorb some light, and it's going to make it look kind of flat. That's really kind of what I'm getting from it. His colors look a little flat, but they're not going to be that way probably in person. I can't wait till somebody actually does photographs of this thing on a dark background.
Yeah,
Putting these guys on light backgrounds is the worst thing. I don't know why Hasbro keeps doing this. Put these things on dark backgrounds, they photograph better that way. They just do.
But also it could be that they're trying to get it as bright as possible. So no matter who posts the images, no matter what outlet repost it, it's going to be, bright enough that way they can see the product.
Mm-hmm.
And also, this is probably stuff they sent. These are the same pictures they sent to retailers to buy the figures. So it could just be like, look at these bright, shiny new figures you can buy for your store.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not really thinking about, is it a shade or two off?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest,
I have two.
Yeah, retailers don't care what shade something is. All retailers
is it
care
cool
is this going to sell? If it's not going to sell, I don't care. That's literally what they're down to. Is it money or is it not?
Yeah. I have 2 sets on order. I have ordered 2 of every Leader Dinobot because if one breaks, I have one in the box ready to go. Rob Clay asked me, why buy 2? Because, it's not like in-box display. Other than Swoop, of course, that being different than the rest of them with the window box. I just told him, it's like, I want 2 of every one of these. So if one breaks, I've got one, because you know what happened to that Grimlock on the aftermarket when it first came out, and then you couldn't get it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
$200 and $300 for a Leader class Grimlock. I ain't doing that looking for a replacement. My Fans Toys Swoop took a nosedive because I was trying to get Massey to take him to the vet for his shots.
Mm-hmm.
He clawed me. I stumbled. I fell into the shelf. My Fans Toy Swoop broke a leg and wing off.
Yeah.
So
I can understand
I ain't going through that again.
that pain. Like, I don't think that's what people get. And like, even if these guys are retail, like even the Leader class Grimlock now, when I looked it up, like in the aftermarket, it's pretty expensive to get that thing even loose now.
Right. Now they're
Because
supposed to. It's supposed to be coming back. Yeah, it's supposed to be coming back out sometime as a package refresh. That's at least that's the rumor. But you have the blue Grimlock that just came out. You have the Tiger Stripe Grimlock from Walmart. You have
the original
another
release.
Grimlock.
Yeah, the original release.
Yeah, there's been 3 recolors of that, right?
Oh yeah, there was the Shattered Glass.
The Shattered Glass. So
That's the one.
You have, but none of those is G1 Grimlock, which is why that price has pretty much stayed the way it is. I mean, I've seen Takara Masterpiece Grimlocks cheaper than that Leader Class Studio Series Grimlock. So, but yeah, that's. And again, it's Dinobots. I think everybody can agree that probably one of the coolest subset of Transformers in general are giant freaking dinosaurs that turn into giant freaking robots.
Yeah.
Every boy on the planet is like just I should say that every man on the planet that sees them for one brief second is 6 years old again, and they're stomping with their dinosaurs outside.
Hmm? I mean, even girls get into that. Girls love dinosaurs too. It's something about how universal the Dinobots are compared to most of the robots in Transformers. It's always that. Some girls may think Bumblebee's cute because he turns into a little beetle car or whatever, And Optimus, okay, he's heroic. But I've met some people I've met a few girls that are like huge Starscream fans.
Oh yeah,
that's understandable. Starscream's a bit flamboyant sometimes, but backstabbing
and crazy. Yeah. Well, speaking of Dinobots, little aside. Do you know that in terms of geologic time, the T-Rex is closer to us than the T-Rex is closer to a Stegosaurus?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's an unfathomable amount of time. And yet all modern media is like, there's a T-Rex, there's a Stegosaurus, there's a Triceratops. It's like, they're like hundreds of millions of years apart in evolution.
Like the Allosaurus was around before the T-Rex.
Yeah,
I love the Allosaurus. I want an Allosaurus transform. Has there been an Allosaurus transform?
There's not been other than third party. We haven't gotten to paddles.
Yeah. How? Okay, that's a good question. Do you think we'll get a paddles from that sludge mold someday?
You probably have to get the non-F adapter kit. Otherwise, you'll be waiting as long for that as I was for Headmaster RC. if I'm being honest, I mean, there's deep cuts. I mean, we got in that last Target 4-pack, we got G-Axis's Troopers. That's a crazy deep cut.
I never once thought that would ever happen.
No, not at all. But that G-Axis is absolutely. I wish they had done a little bit of work on him when they made him Vector Prime, make it a little bit better. But yeah. So all this stuff that we've been revealed. I mean, we are spoiled for choice right now. It may not be like the Bayverse fans. There's also that Widowmaker. That was the concept, which became Stinger, I believe. So that Widowmaker is coming out. So everyone is going to be a little slighted every now and then. But I think most of the stuff people are looking for will eventually start falling into place. But you might go two more wave reveals before you get another Bayverse thing.
Yeah.
But we might go 3 reveals before we get the next thing from Prime. So it's just we just gotta wait and see.
Very, very true. Like one of the big deep cuts they have coming out, they've only just announced, but it would say another Fortress Maximus, but he's not a Titan. He's the smaller version which kind of matches the comic book where he's as tall as the rest of them and not some huge towering dude. You know,
Right? Yeah. It's well, if
I
you
want
look
to
at
see that and
Marvel,
a Scorponok of the same
yeah,
size.
yeah. If you look at Marvel G1 Rebirth, Marvel G1 Headmasters, he is slightly taller than the rest of the headmasters.
Hmm.
But it's not until they start going to Earth where they start like doubling his size and adding like the other transformation, the third transformation. But even then, he's not rebirth sized at that point. He's just bigger enough to take on Scorponok.
Yeah, which I think would be really interesting. I would love to see those size classes, like the Titan ones that are shrunk down, like the comic books. So you can have them stand next to God Genrai, and they're not like
Yeah.
so big
Well,
that
it's
you
like
have to have half a house to display the one dude.
yeah. Well, it's like the Star Optimus, the Star Convoy that's coming out.
Hmm.
That's what a lot of people, myself included, are calling Titan Junior.
Hmm.
And that price point we could get. Now, see, the thing is though, they've just re-released the Black Zarak, and I think Scorponok is up. I can't remember for sure, so I doubt we would see another Scorponok anytime soon. But they could do another Fortress Maximus at that Titan Junior price point, which I think would make a lot of people happy, especially if it's. I've never read IDW. I gave up on IDW right before All Hail Megatron.
Hmm.
And I didn't read anything after that just because I was enjoying what Simon Furman was doing. I was enjoying the Sunstreaker. I was enjoying the Hunter, and I was enjoying all that. And they just completely shifted gears. And I thought it's a 12-part series called All Hail Megatron. I'm out.
Yeah.
But if you get an IDW Fortress Maximus, it's really not for me. But I know it would make a lot of people happy for their IDW shelf.
I agree. 'Cause I do know a lot of people out there that would rather have something like that because they don't actually have the space for some of those Titans. When you have to move a lot, stuff like that, like kids, like people in college, or even as some of us are even older, it's like, well, you start kind of running out of space. It's like, what do I get rid of? You know, if you're a Macross collector, or if you're collecting like Gundam and stuff like that, it's like, well, do I have to get rid of this just to fit this one robot that I'm wanting? You know, and sacrificing space is a big deal, especially when it comes to collectors. And I think really, you know, squashing down maybe Fortress Maximus, squash down, Scorponok, make them a little smaller. Some people want that because, I mean, there are I know in 3D cults, there was a guy out there that was putting out files so that way you can print, like 3D print a Scorponok and a Fortress Maximus that are about Voyager leader size figures. Fully articulated, fully transformed, and people are really into that. They like that kind of thing. They like that class. That's why they sold as many as they have. And it's like, there is a demand for it. And that's where I'm hoping Hasbro is going to see that and like, okay, let's do an official version of it. Please don't give us anything like Red. We don't need anything like Red anymore.
No,
Let Blockies take care of the Red thing, because Blockies is already doing it.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. They're doing it a lot better than what Red ever did.
Yeah.
Red reminds me of the. I'm tired, so I'm not able to remember right now.
It's all good.
The Power Link, the where you had the core robot, then you had the drones.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? Was that?
Oh, Power Core Combiners.
What was that? Power Core Combiners. Red reminds me of Power Core Combiners, and it's like it tested well, and they thought it would do really well. It was basically a Marvel Legends equivalent for Transformers, but it's like no one really knew what to do with it or how to market it. It's like that's kind of the way Red feels up with it just no one knew what to do with it other than it exists.
I mean, and the thing is, I understand why they were doing it because, everybody was into, like, the larger, trying to follow the Star Wars Black series, and then, the Marvel Legends figures, and then the G.I. Joe, 6-inch line. And it's like, okay, that's cool. They're trying to make it so it kind of fits in there, but does it really? I mean, to be honest, Reveltech did such a better job of a non-transforming action figure than what Hasbro did. And I'm like, you guys could have just said, here, some other company make this. We would like these made, but we don't want to tackle this. That way they can do their own marketing or whatever. Here's the license. Have fun. And that's what they've done with Blockies. And to me, I think Blockies is amazing. I think it's really, really cool that we're getting some of the stuff we are. I think if they can keep the price point down on Blockies, that's going to continue to allow them to keep rolling out weird, obscure characters and keep some of these names alive for Hasbro, so that way they don't have to shoehorn things in.
And on the other end of the spectrum, you've got Yellow Park.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want something a little more advanced, a little more animation accurate, you've got fairly solid model kit figures, heavy lifting there.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't transform, but if you don't need them to transform and you want a great representation, you've got that on the other end of the spectrum, a little bit higher, but you get electronics, you get a little bit of die-cast here and there on some stuff.
Well, speaking of Yellow Park, they released the 3G1s and the added Bumblebee, but they are cheaper price point. They don't have the LED electronics in them, and they nix the die-cast. And it's for a more affordable market. And I watched that toy guy just recently do like a review of them, and he says they're pretty fantastic. I mean, I think they're like $40 or something, because like the original ones are like closer to 60 to 70 or something.
60 to 70, yeah. I got the translucent
like
Optimus. Yeah, I got the translucent Optimus, and with shipping, I paid about $73 with shipping. But that was at the time a store exclusive through Yellow Park, so there wasn't anywhere else to get that. And because I'm a sucker for translucent plastic.
Aren't we all? I love translucent plastic on toys. I do. I know it's scary. I was a big fan, because I loved Power Core Combiners. I was one of the minority on that. But the thing I loved most about the Power Core Combiners was the little guys it came with. All the little translucent Targeting Master, Armor Master little dudes that kind of remind me of Arms Micron, but better, I thought they were cool. I enjoyed them. And I love the fact that they would plug onto your Armada figures. You could use them on your Armada figures because they would actually work out just like a mini-con. So I think that's the direction some things should kind of go. Let other companies tackle the stuff that's a little harder for Hasbro to do, and let Hasbro keep the stuff within their wheelhouse that they can keep going. And if they're not really wanting to dip their toes in it, let somebody else have the license for a while and see what they do with it. Kind of like Mattel's doing with their crossover with the Hot Wheels stuff. I would love to see like a huge multi-pack come out with Hot Wheels, and it's all like Generation 1 cars that are all Hot Wheels of like every, like the entire Autobot line. Would love to see a collector's edition kind of thing like that come out. Because I think it'd be neat, because there's a lot of die-cast car collectors out there that are Transformer collectors and such too. And it's hard to find these individual ones. I just think it'd be a smarter move on Mattel's end if they just created a multi-pack that's got them all and sell them as like.
I'm sure they will, but the problem is, look at how much they were charging for that transforming Optimus.
Yeah,
that
I'm
that was
saying
that was
non-transforming.
no, I know, but I'm just saying if they charged one transforming Optimus at
85. Yeah, it
$90,
was 85
85
$90.
$85, imagine what a 5 pack, or imagine what all of their Transformer themed cars would go in one set. It'd be 50, 60, $70
Mm-hmm.
for figures that were $2 to $6 at the store, if you were counting the racing rigs for the Optimus Prime and Ultra Magnus.
Right. Well, the thing is, living in the Midwest, it's hard to get hold of that stuff. Most of the guys get stuff on the coastline because things get shipped to the coast before they ever meet in the middle of the United States. Sometimes distribution sucks.
Yeah.
I don't like to call out Hot Wheel collectors, but some of them that don't get into the hobby to collect but just to profit literally wipe the shelves. And it's killed it for a lot of us Transformer collectors because I personally would love to get hold of, you know, the Optimus, the Gold Bumblebee, and the Ultra Magnus, but can't find them anywhere. And then the tracks that's supposed to come out to color changing, which I think is really
Yeah, I
neat.
think it is. But I think that'll be a very hard one to find as well.
Yeah, but I mean, those to me shouldn't be that hard to find because it's Hot Wheels. That's not like it's a crazy exclusive like us having to hop on there if we want to get like that Dino King combiner that Hasbro put out. We have to order it through here or whatever to get it. You know, this is thrown on Walmart's site. This is thrown on wherever. You know, so I'm just like, how hard is it for them to press out a few more? I mean, they own the license to all
Well,
this stuff, so pretty simple, I would think.
it's like everything. We're not going to be able to find everything, and the best we can do is reach out to our fellow collectors and say, "I'm looking for this. Are you looking for something? Can I try to find it? Can we try to trade?" It's not always going to work, but if we try to help our fellow collectors find the stuff they can't find, they may be willing to help us find the stuff we can't find, and everybody kind of wins.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, well, there's a hashtag on Twitter, hashtag CHC, Collectors Helping Collectors. I think that's something we all need to do, especially when these San Diego, like the San Diego coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I want the Cold Slither set. I don't know if I'll be able to get one or not, and if I do get one available, how much am I paying for the extra above and beyond?
Right.
But we'll have to wait and see.
It's very true. Because how many times have we seen prices of just Comic Con exclusives the second that con's over with triple or quadruple
Yeah.
in price almost
Oh, I mean,
immediately.
yeah. I mean, look at any of the Transformers from the past 3 or 4 TF cons that
Mhm.
Fans Hobby was doing. They did the one Soundwave that was a Machine Wars Soundwave, and then they've done the Batman one, and then they had the Joker one, and they've done you know all of these figures, and it's like they go through the roof, and they're just priced. I mean, yeah, can you afford them? Maybe, but what are you going to have to sacrifice? How many pre-orders are you going to have to cancel to get this one figure if you need the one figure that bad?
Right.
Or how much ramen are you going to have to eat to pay for it? Sometimes the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
That's the absolute truth. And for those people out there that do freak out because they're like, oh my gosh, if I don't get it now, I'll never be able to get a hold of it. That isn't true. You can find people
It may
out
take
there.
a while.
Yeah. You might find that one person that bought that Buzzworthy Bumblebee pack and they said they didn't want the Viacon out of it, or not the Viacon, but the Cybertronian Jax's Troopers. I know some
Yeah.
people want Army build those. You can find other people parting it out because they have no affiliation with that figure. They bought it
Yeah.
for the one where, what was it? One of them only has like Fangry in it, and some people didn't care about the rest of them. You know,
Yeah.
you can find people parting these things out.
Yeah. It's
So,
just it's with a. Well, I'll give you an example before we wrap up.
mhm,
For many years, I was looking for the lucky draw Darkfire Convoy, which is a car robots Optimus Prime Fire Convoy in the black and gold deco.
mhm.
For a lucky draw from Takara, it was the most plentiful. At about, I've heard around 1,000 to 1,500 were made, which is a huge number for lucky draw
Yeah,
figures.
it is.
I was looking for one for many, many years because Fire Convoy, that Optimus Prime is my favorite non-masterpiece Optimus Prime. And I looked and looked and looked. There's a joke that Brad from used to work with Captured Prey,
Hmm.
and he and I saw one at a BotCon, and we were trying to get the other one to buy it, so we wouldn't buy it because it was like $3,000, and we couldn't swing that obviously. But I found one about 2 years after I saw that one for $700. So yeah, that was a chunk of change. But here's the thing: it wound up on eBay. The day before eBay, I got an eBay coupon, 10% off any purchase, and then it went up the next day.
There's the
So I said,
Dononomics. There's the
there
Dononomics.
that was the it wasn't the birth of Dononomics, but it helped crystallize it. So, and I'm one for jumping I have jumped the gun early. It's like when Masterpiece movie Brawl came out from the Bayverse Brawl, the big leader class one.
Hmm.
I watched Mgo's review. I was so taken aback at how great that figure transformed and how it looked. Even though it was a Bayverse, which generally is not my favorite thing, I went out. I found the first place that had it for retail. I paid an extra $10 for shipping, and I got it because I was that impressed with that figure. Have I done that in the past? A few times. Do I regret it? A few times. So just take your time. Reach out to your friends. It's like I'm gonna have to probably ask some of my friends for the upcoming TF cons if Ocular Max has the rest of their Ruination set coming out, or no, sorry, Baldicus.
Aldgus?
They're
Yeah.
they're re-releasing their Combaticons as in the Baldicus colors. So I've got the first two. I'm gonna need help getting the last three because I got a feeling finding that whenever they do that onslaught, that's going to be pricey.
Oh, yeah. And Baldgus is really cool.
But yeah,
I loved his color
yeah,
scheme.
yeah. But it all boils down to all this new stuff coming out. FOMO is real. We all know it. We all hate it. It drives us crazy if we don't get it. I am as guilty as anybody else. Check your websites, reach out to your friends, reach out to those you trust on social media, and help everybody out so everybody can get the stuff.
Yep. And if you guys are out there trying to find certain Transformers, I do know for a fact that Back in Time Comics and Toys, there's a QR code up there. You scan it, you can actually get hold of them through Facebook Messenger. Ask them if they happen to have any of these figures in, because just recently we got a third party. I don't remember the name of it, but it's the Predacon set. Or not the Predacon set, but the Piranacon set. You probably know the one I'm talking about. It's the,
Yeah, the King Poseidon set.
yeah, the big King Poseidon set that came out. That was third party. They got one of those in. Things
Oh,
crazy.
how much is that?
It's a little older.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's. I can't remember who did it. Oh, was it Unique?
It might have been.
It might have been. Yeah, it might have been Unique.
But I know when me and Ben was back in the back digging through trying to see how much it was, I think he was saying it was going to go for about $600.
Yeah, that sounds about right for that set.
Yeah.
I mean, it
It's
sounds a little. Actually, it's a little cheaper than the last time I saw it.
is that one you're after?
No, not really, because two of the limbs are that pinkish color,
Hmm.
and it really throws off the color balance for me. So and I also had a chance. You know the Unique Toys Orden, the
Hmm.
Abominus set.
Yep.
They re-released that at a much lower price on the individual figures. So I got the whole set for like a little bit under $3
Nice.
for the entire Abominus set. So
But yeah,
that's
there's lots of times. It wasn't this past weekend because this past weekend was the big sale, but the weekend before that, I worked the shop, and I had to price a bunch of the loose Transformers, and a lot of them were legacy stuff people would offload. So if you're after any of this stuff, you can ask, because he has quite a bit of loose stuff that comes in that people are just like, oh well, I've had my phone with it or whatever. Some people do that. Some people regretfully make decisions financially and have to recuperate. I think we've all been there. But they do have quite a few of those types of figures. Like I know I had done all the Dinobots. Like I had all the Dinobots. The new Legacy Leader class, including a Grimlock. So I don't know if they still have it, but that's what. But if you guys scan that QR code, then you'll be able to pop over there, and it sends you to everything they have. They also have an eBay store as well. So there's a lot of stuff they have in the shop that's not even in the shop. It's on their eBay store because they can't fit it because of their storage and their warehouse are topped to the brim with stuff. I'm talking stuff from like toys from like the 40s, 50s, and 60s that they have too. I'm talking old school. Not just us 80s kids. So, if you guys are interested in any of that stuff, you can go ahead and click on over there. As for these newer figures that are coming out, it looks like everywhere TF Source, Entertainment Earth, BBTS, Robot Kingdom, Chosen Prime, Ages 3 and Up, and Amazon will have them all but the G2 Snarl and Slag or Slug set will not be on Amazon. It will be on everything else but Amazon. So you guys have fun pre-ordering those because that's where they will all be for now until they decide to change it. So you have any other suggestions of anywhere else? Anybody else can pick anything up?
Really, it's just I don't know. Just check with your friends, like we said. Check on your message board. See, I don't do a lot of message board looking because there's so many people with so much stuff. A lot of these message boards, the search engines are crap. So you find stuff from like, hey, they got one for sale 4 years ago. So it's like, just try to keep calm and don't worry about the FOMO if you can.
Yeah.
Or
If you
this
know
is coming from
somebody,
me.
message them. Hey, do you happen to have this? Maybe. We'll see. Or if you know somebody that lives in, Florida, like Michael. Hey, you happen to see this around? Yeah, sure. Can you pick me one up? Cool. Because sometimes the distribution doesn't reach certain states because it's regional.
Right.
So
I mean, I found stuff here in Virginia at my local Target, which is like the second smallest size class they carry.
Mm-hmm.
That some of my friends in Florida, Texas, and California have never seen. So you never know. You just never know.
Regional is a big deal. So if you're really trying to find certain things, and if it's not in your area, check your region. If it looks like it's the same stuff in that region, maybe ask somebody that lives in a different region to be able to find out if they can get it for you. If not, I mean, there's always all the online stores you can purchase from.
Yeah.
So.
Just just help each other out. That's the best way to wrap it up. Yep.
That is the best way. So, with that being said, I think me and Don are going to jet out of here, and we will end up barking at you guys next week.
Yeah.
Don't know
Jet
what about that,
formations.
but
No. Jet transformation. Sorry, you gave me an opening. You gave me an opening for a G2 commercial. Sorry.
exactly. If you guys want to hear that rap, go look it up because it's amazing.
Yeah. Please do. It'll change your life forever.
It will. But anyway, we'll let Don say his sign off, and then I will get us on out of here.
All right. Just to let y'all, I can be found on Twitter at HMRC, the number 4 EVR, as it says on the screen. I can be found on Blue Sky, that.bluesky.social. I can also be found Wednesdays at 8:30 on Radio Free Cybertron, the internet's oldest and first Transformers podcast, started in 1999 with Brian Kilby and all of the other guys. So you can see me there. You can join our Discord at tfradio.net/Discord as well.
Okie dokie. And you guys know me, I'm Plasticon, and I'm around here all over the place. So tune in, you guys, next week.
Plasticon's of Vorlon. He's always been here.
I've always been here.
That's a little Babylon 5 reference for those that get it.
Yep. I'm like Unicron. I don't go away.
Yeah, he just keeps being rebooted for the next series.
Exactly. Generation 2, I'm the regeneration of that. Just keep going.
Oh, I would. Well, real
the
quick.
gold plastic syndrome doesn't stop me.
Yeah. You remember that Toys R Us Primus recolor they did with the oranges and the blues?
I want that thing so bad.
I would love to see them use that Titan Junior price point to do a matching Unicron in like G2 colors.
I have always, this has been kind of a fever dream. I want that one, but I also been wanting to try to get a hold of the black Unicron from the Energon series, because to me those two go together so well, and I'm like, I want those two to just put on my display because they're amazing, but I do not have the room for that.
Maybe one final thing. Maybe at the Titan Junior price point, they could reissue that Energon Unicron. Maybe they could do that.
Ooh. I would love to see that. I really would.
Yeah, I would too.
That would be amazing. But we're going to go ahead and get out of here. We'll see you guys next week.
And happy Father's Day to all those people who are fathers watching the podcast. I'm not a dad, but I am a pet parent. Yep. And my Hank got me some gifts. I think Christy helped a little bit, but I have some gifts in the other room from my fuzzy son. So I'll have to go see what. And if my wife didn't help him, that means he's learned how to use the credit card. So,
that could be dangerous.
Y'all have a good night. Y'all take care.
Yep. Happy Father's Day. Good night, guys.